Alright people, what's going on? We've got a live video right now. Let me shut the air conditioner off real quick, shall we? And let's reflect. Let's reflect on this race. Alright, so initial thoughts on the race. I was excited to see SVG win going into the day. I thought him, Reddick, and Hamlin had easily the fastest cars. I watched qualifying the day prior. Hamlin's car was a rocket. Ooh, we got some fireworks going on. Hamlin's car was a rocket. SVG's car was a rocket, and SVG looked really good. Reddick I thought would do better, except he made that mistake later on later in the race. As a McDowell fan, I didn't think McDowell had a car to really contend with the top three after watching qualifying yesterday. But as the race went on, McDowell seemed to impress and kind of stick with the front of the pack the entire time, which I was excited about. And he'd keep picking off guys. Same with SVG. I thought the race was really exciting at the beginning. So I was super disappointed when there was that strategy call where all the drivers who were driving kind of like bums during the day pit early and get to come out and take the lead for the end of the race. Like, I'm not a Ty Gibbs fan, but he's been good all year. And Ty Gibbs had a shot at the end there to come top three. And between him, SVG, and McDowell, they would have had a shootout. But instead we had to see a bunch of guys who didn't really have any business being in the front that day, up front. And it all worked out in their favor. So I like Justin Haley. I thought he did as good as he could with what he had. SVG was just better. But let's say, for example, Ty Gibbs or McDowell started in front and actually pitted with strategy like all those other guys did, we might have had a completely different race. Like, it would have been a lot harder for him to pass, for SVG to pass one of those guys than he did Justin Haley, just based off of the car. My other quick thoughts on the race was they kept saying that, you know, Haley's running on 16 lap older tires. Who gives a shit? Like, I don't think it really mattered because they were just rolling around on caution laps half the time, so they hardly even had to worry about that, in my opinion. So if SVG hadn't won, I probably would have been more mad at the day, just the way NASCAR handles stuff, and they just kind of fly by the seat of their pants and decide they're gonna let everyone pit who's been sucking all day, and then a lap later they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna shorten the race by 25 laps. They should have known better. I mean, Chicago gets dark at 8:30, so it just seems like doing the math. If each lap takes a minute and a half and there's 50 laps in the race left, you know, it'd probably be a good idea to shorten the race, you know what I'm saying? So I'm surprised they didn't announce the shortening of the race earlier, or at least do something about all those guys pitting and then announcing it two laps later. So, I mean, it happens like week in and week out that there's strategy changes, or not strategy changes, strategy. It doesn't seem like NASCAR teams should have to make strategy calls based on NASCAR's inconsistency with calling and changing things, flying by the seat of their pants. So, the course was awesome. I thought that was super fun to watch. If you're just joining in, welcome. By the way, I guess, here, let me pull up the chat just so I can see you guys. There we go. I'm curious what everyone's thoughts were on SVG winning and then Justin Haley not having a playoff opportunity as well. Technically, right, if we would have had an actual Cup driver win, he would be in the playoffs. So Haley misses out, but should he really have won anyway? Should Haley have really won anyway if he didn't actually like drive up front all day? That's kind of what I've been thinking about as well. So we had Kyle Larson in the top 5, Chase in the top 5, and Busch in the top 5, who all had pretty rough. I think Kyle Larson was the only one who had a decent day out of those 5. So, in my opinion, the only would have had anything to offer him at the end of the race would have been McDowell. Only if McDowell had pitted on strategy and started in Michael. So Logano didn't seem to have much for those guys. Hamlin finished 11th, but he was just driving too inconsistently as well. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think on it? Are you glad SVG won? Did you like the race? I'm waiting for Eric Estep's out of the groovy gauge for this race. Like, I want to see what his groovy gauge is, because he's there, and it sounds like anyone that went to that race is super psyched. But watching it on TV, if you're a fan of one of the guys who's running up front all day and then they had that cycle happen, you're kind of frustrated. So I would give that race, if it weren't for the weather, I'd give that race like an 8 out of 10. But with the closing thoughts, just got their stage points on the way through. Thought Christopher Bell looked really good all day, and I think he deserved getting 2 stages. It's kind of a bummer he spun out. But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting wind-up to the rest of the season, see who makes playoffs, because we have McDowell, Suarez, and Gibbs all on the cut line, and we have super speedways and road courses coming up. So I can see out of those 3 guys, probably, even as a McDowell fan, I could probably see Gibbs might sneak into the playoffs the way it's going, or Suarez. But Gibbs has been looking really good. McDowell really needs to capitalize here in Atlanta to get 2 more top 10s in the road courses to finish out the season, I think, to have a chance. He's got like 3 more chances. Suarez has a chance every week. And Gibbs seems to have a chance at a top 15 just about every week. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments who you think is going to make the cut line. Bowman? Maybe. He sucked ass today, so that was good for me. I needed Bowman to suck today. But I think he's a good enough driver where he should be able to be consistent enough at the end of the season to turn that around. Noah Gragson sucked ass today. You can tell he hasn't driven on wet very much in his career, probably. I don't know, though. He's fine, though. I mean, it's not like he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. So, just a rookie season. He's got time to grow. I mean, obviously he's not going to make the playoffs, but other than that, yeah, Ross Chastain didn't make any noise today, which was kind of surprising. Thought he's been decent on road courses in the past. Cindric didn't do too much today. I think the SHR cars are just kind of trash, honestly, at this point. I don't know. I'm a big I like SHR, but damn, watching those guys is brutal. And we all know Kevin Harvick's their only. I mean, Almirola's been solid all year, but he keeps having bad luck. Harvick's been more consistent, but we know Harvick's not going to be a road course guy, So I don't see SHR getting a single win the rest of the season. The way their year's been going. So out of those 4 guys, I don't see any of them getting a win. And Stenhouse, I don't see him winning again. Front row, I don't see winning, although I'd like to see McDowell win. Suarez, I don't see winning. Gibbs, I don't see winning, except for maybe at Atlanta. You guys have any other guesses on who might win? Elliott could win. I could see Elliott winning at Atlanta even. It's a possibility. Um, who else? Kyle Busch just looks good every week. I mean, he might win one more before playoffs the way his stuff's been going. Brad K, I don't think he's going to get a win. I don't think Buescher's going to get a win. Looking at the sheet here, trying to see who I think might have a chance at winning the rest of the season, but I think all the drivers that had a chance are going to knock it out. Thanks for the chat, Ian. Confusing as well too, you said. Hard to work out a fuel and tire strat when you don't know how many laps there are. Yeah, I agree. You're an NZDer, so great result for SVG. Oh, you're from New Zealand? Nice. Onward and upward, Flight of the Conchords, if you know who they are. I'm a big fan. So what were you saying over there? He's considered a bump and go driver. What do you mean by that? Like he bumps through and just drives through people all the time? It kind of runs people over? Or is he just like fast enough that he gives people a bump and then passes them? I guess is what I should be asking. Like Ross Chastain kind of runs people over this season, but then there's Hendrick Motorsports guys like Kyle Larson who have the fastest car week in and week out, and then they just tap and drive. Okay. Yeah, I think he looks like a nice guy. I was excited to see him win. I wish he could get into playoffs for that. Like, if you can win in the Cup Series and you're not full time, you should still get, in my opinion, a ride to playoffs. Because it's kind of a bummer that now all these other guys, they don't have a shot. But it also makes, like Justin Haley, for example. But Justin Haley shouldn't have got in today anyway, because he wasn't running up front all day. So I think it's fine the way it is. Otherwise, we'd see drivers coming out of different areas racing on the best track week in and week out and doing these kind of upsets, maybe. I don't think they'd be winning like SVG did today, but it'd be more common. So anyways, my man, I think that is it for me on this live stream. I'm gonna be happy but kind of depressed at the same time. I wish my guy, I think McDowell ran strong enough to be third today, but you're a fan of road courses anyway? Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was a good race. I thought the track was good. I think I'd be very happy if there was another return. And here's where I'm kind of torn up. Like, so there's guys like McDowell, SVG, who have road course experience, Allmendinger, they've raced in wet, you know. So to me, I was super excited to see them race in wet today. But at the same time, NASCAR put them on wet track, knowing that there's a chance the race would be canceled early because of stormy weather or night. You know, obviously just mainly because it'd be getting dark out. So I don't know. I don't like watching a race where half the teams make strategy based on NASCAR changing their opinion halfway through of how they're going to run the race and then shortening it by a whole fourth of a race. So, I mean, SVG would have won either way, I think. But like, I think if they would have ran tomorrow, I would have liked to see a full race. You know what I mean? Everyone was so damn desperate at the end of this race because it was getting dark and there were some restarts happening. Nolan, welcome. I think Chicago's forcing it big time. And I think a lot of those teams wanted to get it done anyway because they're charging. I mean, those teams, that costs a lot of money, you know, having all those hotel rooms and every extra day tacked onto stuff. That's a lot of logistics and a lot of money. So you're right. I think they forced them to do their stuff today. So all the Xfinity teams, you know, they lost money this weekend. And then, I mean, all these people that traveled to Chicago right on a Sunday that got to work Tuesday, they're flying back tomorrow probably. They can't afford to stay in town another day if they flew down to Chicago for that or drove to Chicago. So it's kind of like Daytona, right? You have to get it in when there's that many people, 70,000 people there. So yeah, have a good one, guys. Thanks for stopping by.